We now formally introduce complex numbers. Complex numbers are numbers that can be written as a plus bi, where I is the imaginary unit we've been talking about, that is the square root of -1, and a and b are real numbers. You could think of this b as being a coefficient on the imaginary unit, and a is just another real number. So examples of complex numbers would be 3 plus 2i. But also we can have a situation where either a or b is 0 and we're still considered to be dealing with a complex number. So something like 3 plus 0i is really just what we're used to thinking of as the number 3 in the real numbers, but the real numbers are embedded inside the complex numbers, so even though this is a real number, it is still also a complex number because it can be written 3 plus 0i. Also, we have 0 plus 2i. Well, that we would normally just write as 2i, but we still consider it a complex number because it can be written in this form. Adding and subtracting complex numbers is fairly straightforward. You add the real parts and you add the imaginary parts. Basically, you can think of it as combining like terms, like we used to do for our polynomials. So we're going to combine the real parts of each of these numbers, so 4 plus 2. And then we're going to combine the imaginary parts, so that's -3 plus 5, but we're going to make sure we're applying I to that whole term. So this becomes 6 plus 2i. To subtract complex numbers, again, we're pretty much just combining like terms, except now we have to keep in mind that we're subtracting, so we have to keep an eye on our negatives. So here we've got 4 minus 2 plus, now it's -3 minus 5 times I, giving us 2 minus 8i. Let's see what happens in this case when we have 4 minus 3i minus 4 plus 5i. When we subtract the real parts, we get 4 minus 4, so we can see that the real part of this complex number is going to end up being 0, and we won't write that. And then we've got plus -3, and we're subtracting 5, so remember it's going to be minus 5i. So when we go to write this, we generally don't write the 0 in front of it. And then we're going to write -8i.